this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Should switch. There we go. Good morning. We had a little technical difficulties this morning, but we made it. We're just a couple minutes late. Well, maybe 4 minutes. Okay. So anyway, good morning, everybody.
Couple plus 2.
Yeah, there we go. So we got Get It Right Texoma with the trio. We're here. I'm Terry.
And I'm Trey.
This
and
Trey.
This is Mike right here, our trio partner, our podcast partner in the sky.
Yep, we go live every morning, 7:30.
Every Friday morning.
Friday morning?
Yeah.
Just testing you. YouTube and on Facebook. And we were live yesterday. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we'll talk a little about that. But this morning's guest is Donnie Lee, Superintendent, Wichita Falls ISD.
Yeah, please comment and share and let everybody know. Please share this now, please. And even if you're watching this later, share it now. That way we get the word out on what's going on here at Get It Right Texoma, and that's what this is. So we will get right into it. We've got a local
restaurant focus, and not only is it a local restaurant focus, it's actually a milestone for them. Circle M Bakery. We've talked about them before, and we kind of talked about them fairly recent, but we're going to talk about them again because they turned 40 years old this week.
40 years, man.
Yes. Yes.
Well, then they were sponsors on the radio show,
for
weren't
many,
they? For
many
a lot.
years.
And used to give away donuts, man, and
right.
answering a tech question you could
that's
answer.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, well, Mike always had a great relationship with Circle M Bakery. Going back to Mike and I. Had a classmate, Julie Elliott, whose mother was Marilyn that started it.
Oh, is that M for Marilyn?
Yes.
Okay, Circle. All right.
Yeah. So Julie when we were in junior high, Kirby Junior High, Julie would, when they first started that bakery, would actually go and cook donuts in the morning before school.
Oh, okay.
So she would show up at school, but they started this little bakery called Circle M Bakery out on Old Isle Park Road. And it's just grown and grown and grown, and there you go right there.
Yeah, well,
we've been around for 40 years now.
Yeah, we should be. There we go. All right. So that's their Facebook page. Well, that's at least their sign of their Facebook page.
Yeah. Well, and Kavia Vinson, I'm not really quite sure how to say her first name, but said it started with her grandmother Marilyn. So this is still family owned. It's still this bakery's still in the family.
Hadn't sold out to the corporate giants.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
They haven't sold
I'm
out.
sure they've had tons of offers.
They haven't sold out to Big Bakery yet. But it's still family owned. Great donuts, and their donut holes. I mean, they're addictive. They're like crack. I mean, you throw one in your mouth and it just dissolves.
Yeah, and it has a different flavor than the donut. I mean, that's the nature of that's the physics of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
just something.
Well, there's more crust to it. You think about it. There's more surface
probably
area.
a little crispier.
Yeah. So
okay, gotcha.
But they make cakes, they make donuts, they make cookies, they make all kinds of stuff. They can make custom cakes for you.
Okay.
Great family, great legacy, locally owned, still locally owned after 40 years. Please go check them out. Circle M Bakery, Old Isle Park Road. And what are their hours?
5 to 1. 5 to 3 on Monday through Saturday, and Sunday 5 to 1. So there you go. So here it is listed out there. There you go. That's the.
There you go.
But
So they're open basically bakery hours.
There you go, and every day. I mean, they're not taking a day off.
Nope. So they're not bankers hours.
Right.
Bakery hours.
Do they have a baker's dozen? Do they do that?
I don't
know. Always, the baker's dozen is 13.
13,
I guess.
yeah.
Oh well.
That's where the baker gets screwed, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, there we go. So, all right. What do we got next step?
Local
here?
happenings. The Wichita Falls Air Park will be named after, or has already been named by the city after Eddie Hill, my business partner. The ceremony will take place May 6th, which is a Friday, and actually Eddie's birthday. Okay. Ironically.
All right.
At 11:30. Now it's been changed to 11:30. It got changed because of city councilling scheduling.
Okay.
So 11:30, and it's part of Lake Wichita Park.
Right.
Which I think used to be, I don't know if it's still part of his JC Park or used to be JC Park. But if you go out there, if you
Fairway, isn't it?
Yeah, Fairway, just keep going.
Yep.
It's
on the left side.
You're going to go all the way towards it. You can see the lake in front of you. And on the left side there's a massive park. It's been there for a long time.
It's before Murphy's Mound and all that, right?
Right.
It's So you'll see it. It's just big open, and especially if you go there on a Saturday, you'll probably see them all flying.
A lot of planes.
And you'll hear the planes.
Yeah. well, this was Eddie was of course very famous for many years for drag racing and brought a lot of fame internationally and more nationally to Wichita Falls. Always, my hometown's Wichita Falls. Yet he technically didn't move to Wichita Falls till he was in his 20s, but he's 90 now.
Right.
And he's lived here since his 20s. So you could call it your hometown after you lived somewhere 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
But he started Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles in 1966, and that leads me to the next thing.
401 North Scott.
That's right. It will be our 60th anniversary.
Right. On
May the 7th, which is a Saturday. Eddie and Nursey will be there, and Eddie will be signing autographs from about 11 to 2. Right. And so we encourage everybody to come out and celebrate our birthday with us. All right. Our Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles birthday. 60 years, same location, same ownership. Right. Now, Eddie's had business partners over the years. I'm one of his business partners now, but at the core of it, Eddie has owned part of Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles, a major part of Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles, a majority part of Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles since its inception.
Right. Okay.
So come out and check us out. And then the last thing we're going to talk about real quick is just so you can kind of get this on your radar here. The Harlem Globetrotters are coming to the Kay Yeager Coliseum March 31st. Of course, we'll talk about this a few times ahead or from now on. Before it's time, boy, I got tongue-tied there. I felt like AOC. Glad thing you didn't ask me about committing troops to Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
No, but the whole point behind this is get your tickets early. Wichita Falls, we are horrible, and I say we, the royal we, are horrible about waiting until the last minute to buy tickets. And the problem when you do that is Wichita Falls has lost out on some concerts and things like that they could have possibly had because – all of those major acts that travel, they have benchmarks. They know what their nut is. They know how much they have to make it worthwhile coming to your town.
And we're just an add-on in a lot of cases. We're just, by the way, we're going by there.
We're going through Oklahoma City to Dallas.
Yeah, so let's we got an extra date. Let's throw it in there.
Exactly. But the fact is, if we don't buy tickets, and they might say, you know what, maybe we could try.
We'll bypass.
We'll go to Poughkeepsie, New York, or something like that. So.
Yeah. Well, we've been fortunate. We've had ZZ Top recently. We had Mannheim.
Yeah.
We've had we can do it. It's just you just gotta.
We can do it.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got next? Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about. Of course, yesterday we had Representative Ronny Jackson on, 13th Congressional District. Was former doctor to the White House.
Right, several presidents, all the way.
Barack Obama
from Bush, 43, right? All the way
I think it was Barack Obama.
No, he did. He had Bush,
Obama,
Biden, and that was
no,
not even Biden.
Donald Trump.
I'm sorry. I forgot about that one.
Trump's first one.
And then he was running after that.
And of course he's a Texas boy, which I think is great. You think about it, there is only one doctor to the White House, one resident physician for the White House,
and he was it for a while.
And he was it.
Time. Yeah.
And you think about it, he's from Levelland, Texas, small town in West Texas, and rises up through not only the Navy to become Rear Admiral, but he also becomes a physician, and a physician that's well liked enough and well thought of enough that he's going to look after the president and the president's family and the cabinet and stuff like that.
Yep.
The nice thing about it, and he talks about this yesterday, if you go back in our archives, you can see the interview yesterday. The neat thing that he talks about is right now he has probably more access than just about anybody else to the White House.
Because he personally, directly, for 4 full years, had direct access to to Trump.
The Trump and the Trump White House.
Right.
Because I believe that he doesn't just go around and just take care of the president. If something happens,
it's the whole
West
staff
Wing
and the families and everything.
It's the West Wing. So anyway, but he's been a really good congressman for us. He's very busy. So I encourage you to go out and look at his at our show from yesterday.
Yep.
It's about 30 minutes long or so, but it's a great interview.
Yep.
He does a great job, obviously. It talks about how busy he is, how many things he does in Congress. He's not just to sit on his butt and do nothing just to get a paycheck person.
Right. We didn't have time to talk about it, but I was thinking as he's doing that, as he's talking about it, when you're if you're a military member, at least the people who actually made things happen in the military, it wasn't just busy work. They actually looked for good things to do, and in many cases, I could have just skated my last 2 years in the military.
Well, what's the term for it?
Oh, yeah, road, retired on active duty.
Yeah,
yes. We could have done that.
It's so real that there's a term that there is a term for it. And anybody in the military that's been there for any time, and you say road, they know exactly what you're talking about.
And I was working up to the last day, and I couldn't just sit down and do nothing. Okay, I had stuff to do.
Well, it's not in your nature.
Right.
First off, you have too much integrity to say, hey, I'm getting a paycheck, but I'm not going to do anything for it. Yeah. And also, you're a busybody, which I respect. I'm not saying that negative.
I totally agree. So, but my last year, I could have just skated real easily, but instead, I actually created more work for myself because I was almost done with a course I had inherited from a guy that had retired before me and may have been a little road. But anyway, he had started the rewrite of a course, and I went back and actually looked at the statistics and the fail rate, pass fail rate, and all that stuff. And then I thought, well, this needs to be revamped and broken up. And so I just created a ton of work for myself, and I could have just, but I couldn't. In fact, I irritated my supervisor because for that job, I worked for the people out of actually headquarters Air Force for that job, but my boss was local, and I actually did some things. They got bent some feathers, whatever. But I
nothing illegal though, right?
No. But they told me, oh, you can't do that. Well, I did it.
By the way, I just noticed.
We
got the same shirt on.
Twice.
I promise you, this is not planned. Yesterday, we both showed up. We happened to have blue shirts on.
I know.
Today, so anyhow.
Well, hey. So anyway, so that's it. What I was going to say is that he is a busybody. He's got things to do, and he talks fast. I just realizing that, yesterday. Boy, he just whips it off. So that's, I think to some extent that's a sign of intelligence, sign of dedication. It's all of that, and just, make stuff happen.
He's done a great job for us. And so check it out.
Yep. All right. What do we got in the national news
here? Wichita Falls, let's do.
Oh, going to do. Okay.
Headliner, yeah. Wichita Falls St. Patrick's Fest
there it is.
Is going to have Red Farron as a headliner. Red Farron, I like him. He's a country singer.
Oh,
just like Johnny Baby. It's is probably one of his big songs. But he's got some good songs. He's a big name.
Okay.
I understand, but if you're not into that kind of music, but he's more of the new age country.
Okay.
Where it's kind of country.
Is it hippie country or what?
Well, kind of rock. Yeah, kind of country with a little bit of rock.
New age. Country. I was like,
not dude new age. But you have your Jelly Rolls and your Post Malones and stuff like that.
I've heard those names, but
they're country. Yeah, I kind of like that music. So, but they're country, but they're not the traditional twangy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my grandmother listened to Merle Haggard. Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash is kind of crosses.
Johnny Cash was kind of the original of one of this. Right. Of this, Elvis Presley.
Yeah, Elvis.
A lot of people don't remember Elvis was a country musician as well.
Yeah.
So you have some of this crossover where they're not rock and roll.
No.
But they're not country. But they're somewhere in between. But they're not country and western.
Right.
Like. Like you said, Merle Haggard and George Jones and that No-Show Jones. He was famous for not showing up at concerts. So, but anyhow, so Red Farron's going to be here. So it's your opportunity to see a big name, nationally known name, and his music's good too.
All right.
He's going to be at the St. Patrick's Day Fest. And we'll talk more about that in the weeks.
All right. Now
we lost two pretty big icons in their own respect.
Yep.
In the acting world, Robert Duvall.
Mm-hmm.
Who was, this guy was in a million movies.
Oh, yeah.
Big movies, big name, big star. Right. It wasn't like he was just in movies. You get those character actors where you go, I don't know that person's name, but I see him in every movie. And they're in there for about anywhere from 12 seconds to an hour and a half where they get killed off or something.
Right.
Where Robert Duvall, he is the leading role in a lot of movies. Mm-hmm. And so he passed away. And then we also lost Jesse Jackson.
I got a story on when you're ready on that.
Jesse Jackson was an iconic leader. I believe at the very end, towards the end, the last couple of years, he kind of got into a little bit of race hustling, in my opinion. But most of his career, he was not. Whether you agreed or disagreed with Jesse Jackson's his politics, the one thing I will say to you, and it was a lot like Martin Luther King, he believed in, we can't blame everybody for problems. We have to carve our own path. We have an opportunity. We're Americans. We're born in America. And black people, because he was black, that's mostly who was focusing on. You have an opportunity to that ring is out there. And whether it's hard or easy or whatever it is, or whether you think it's hard or easy, it doesn't matter. It's out there to grasp, but you got to do it. And he did that, and he believed in that, and he preached that. And so I always had some respect for Jesse Jackson. Yeah, not Mr. October. No. I always did. Now, I might not have agreed with his politics all the time and didn't agree with everything he said, but it doesn't matter. I don't have to. I don't agree with Trump's politics all the time, and I don't agree with everything he says. But I did respect the fact that his message was, you have an opportunity. You are in the greatest country in the world, and it's your job to overcome any obstacles that you have.
All right.
And I believe that that's a great message for anybody. It doesn't matter what color you are, because, by the way, there's a ton of poor white people, too.
Oh, yeah.
People act like the only poor people are minorities. No. There's tons and tons of poor white folks.
Right.
First off, there's, when you say black, there's only 12% of the population.
Right.
So just do the math.
Right.
There's a whole lot more white folks out there, and there's so many people that are in poverty.
Right.
So,
because West Virginia, mountains, my gosh.
There's a lot of people, people that are in poverty, so it goes both ways, but everybody has the opportunities. Some are harder than others, but it's not, in this America, it's not so much your race. And I've heard people say, you don't know what it's like being a black in America. Well, you don't know what it's like being a white in America. So I don't pretend to know what you know or what you think, and you don't pretend to know what I think. And I get a little irritated at that whole, when I hear that, it's like, hang on a second, do you think because I'm white, somebody handed me everything?
Well,
no.
there seems to be a narrative of that.
Well, there's a narrative of it that's wrong.
But again, that's not at all to take away with the fact that statistically, that Black Americans have maybe a higher level of poverty percentage-wise, but not per capita and all that. Now, let me. You done with your? Okay, so I wanted to kind of relay what you just said from my personal experience. So, for a lot of people don't know, I have a degree in elementary education. I got that in 1995, and I did my student teaching in that. It was in the fall semester of '94.
Okay.
And then I finished up in 95, and that's just before I moved here. And so my student teaching, this was in Wichita, Kansas, at the Wichita USD 9, I think they do unified school districts there.
Okay.
But anyway, it was Wichita, Kansas, their public school system. And there was a big controversy at the beginning of school because they had invited Jesse Jackson to come talk to to students and faculty at the big arena in Wichita. And originally the school district was going to pay for it, but then big uproar, and so somebody stepped in and actually said, "Well, I'll cover that." Obviously somebody with some money, so they came in, did that, and I was just like a teacher. I participated just like I was paid. I was unpaid, but I was going, and we went to the Coliseum, and he's talking, and I absolutely have a ton of respect for him for the fact that he did not bring up politics in any way. It was that message that you can do this. This is your responsibility. You've got people to help you. That's all these teachers and all the faculty and all that. He was really complimentary, and he didn't bring race or anything other than just a motivational speech into that. So that notched up some respect I had. I don't know that I ever disrespected or didn't like him or whatever. Just like you, so a lot of the messages, a lot of maybe some of his politics we didn't like, but for the most part, I thought it was pretty cool. And that was in, like I said, 1994. Fall of 1994.
He was a true leader.
Yeah.
In the part of the civil rights movement and all that sort of stuff. He was a true leader. And he does deserve respect, like you said.
Right. So, all right. Well, cool.
All right.
Well, what do we got now?
So now Texas families may apply for the part of $1 billion allocated for the new Texas Education Freedom Accounts.
Yeah.
The new program will give qualifying families a piece of the money they can be used to help send their kids to private schools and pay for costs associated with homeschooling.
Right. Now, you have an opinion on this.
I do, but let's finish this, but I do. Each student who goes to private school is eligible to receive about $10,500 for each year. Okay. They're enrolled, and homeschools are about $2,000.
Okay.
But it costs
Right,
a lot
'cause
less.
you- right, oh, yeah.
You don't have the building facility, the infrastructure, and stuff like that. It is not a first-come, first-served basis, though. It's prioritized. Legislators have prioritized it. So students with a disability income who come from a household with an annual income below about $161,000 will be the top priority. Students from a household with an annual income or below $64,500. Students with a household annual income between $64,000 and $161,000.
Okay.
And students from a household income above $161,000. So the $161,000 basically is the magic number on that.
Right.
And also students who in this group have attended a public or charter school at least 90% of the previous school year.
Okay.
So in other words, if you are already there and you're already enrolled, then you get a priority seat at this, because it's not like you're just taking the money and now going to go enroll in there.
Okay.
So, but the amount of money appropriated to this group may not exceed 20% of the money apportioned to the program. In other words, that last group can't get more than 20% of that $1 billion.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, then.
So look, here's the thing. I'm not against school choice. I've always thought I'm fine with school choice. I've got no problem with it, and I think the legislators onto something here. I don't mind there being some sort of subsidy. There are people who, because of their living circumstances where they are, just live in not great places, and they can't just up and move. Okay, and their kids are going to substandard schools and that sort of thing. But where I don't follow the narrative is people who do that, this private school or this charter school is killing it and this public school is this. The public school has to take every kid that shows up at their doors.
Right.
The charter school and the private school do not.
Even the charter doesn't?
No.
Okay, because they're okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
No. So therefore, it's kind of here comes Donnie Lee.
Yeah,
Actually,
I bet he'll have an opinion too.
You walked in just at a great time, Donnie. Good morning, guys. So come on in and just have a seat. We'll continue on with this, and then we'll go straight into our interview with you. So we were just talking about the TEFA fund.
Okay.
Okay. And I talked about it. I talked about it here and gave everybody, these are the priorities and things like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like I was saying, and I've said this before, I've been very public about this. On the outside, I'm not against school choice.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to go to this school or you have to go to this school. Where my problem is when you're able to use taxpayer money to go to a school that doesn't have to follow the same rules. And that's where I was going right then is my thing is if your private school or your charter school receives this money right here, you should be required to every student that shows up at your door, take them in.
That's right.
So that's where the disconnect is, and that's where it is a little and I'm going to say unfair, unequitable to public schools because the private school, the charter school, they kind of get to pick and choose their students.
They do. Yeah, absolutely.
And we all know that there's a percentage of students who are going to be very disruptive, and they're going to disrupt the educational process. They're going to suck up a lot of time and resources and things like that. That's just reality. So to me, the companion of this, and I've been saying this, and I'm going to keep banging on this, and we'll see if it ever happens. The companion of this is allow public schools to not allow a certain percentage. So I've said what I've said is 5%. So if you could say at any given school, and no more than 5, but you could do less than 5, that we can justify sending a kid away and saying you no longer can come here.
Some objective criteria.
Absolutely objective. It would be not just up to the school. There would be a secondary. Yeah. There'd be a judge or somebody that would look at it, but or a panel or something. But it's like this child is so disruptive. They're sucking up so many resources. They're basically screwing all these other kids out of their learning opportunity and stuff like that. And you think about it, how much better would the discipline be if you could get rid of only 5% of your student population? You get rid of the worst 5, the most disruptive. Yeah. Because what happens, there's a lot of kids that are followers. and a lot of those bubble kids.
Sure.
And they're on the bubble, which means they can go this way or they can go this way. And if you have that real disruptive student who's charismatic and kind of a leader, they'll pull some of those kids down. Those disruptive students go, and all of a sudden those bubble kids start to move up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's really not parent choice; it's school choice. You know, the private schools have the autonomy to say you can come in or you can leave.
Right.
Public schools don't have that autonomy.
Right. So on this funding though is all of it? What does it cost? How much does WFISD get per child? Do you have that number?
Yeah. So when you add in everything, that's your CTE funding, that's just your ADA funding. It's about $12,500 per student.
So they're getting 10,000. What was it? 10,474. Okay.
Yep. About 10,500.
All right. So now what happened? Do you guys get for that child who leaves, who decides, or their parents work with them? Do you get the remainder of that, or any of that at all? Y'all,
no.
So you get
it's all based on ADA.
It is,
and that doesn't mean American Disabilities Act. It means average daily
attendance.
attendance.
So there was there any? Were they fighting for any? They just lost, or was that even a possibility?
Were public schools fighting for it?
When they were debating this in the House,
right?
Or the House and the Senate.
And the Senate.
When they were debating it, was that ever brought up that at least as a compromise, throw some money, because you still have that infrastructure to be prepared ready to go.
2-year hold harmless.
Right.
So that's what they're saying. They're saying for the first 2 years or one legislative session, if you lose those kids to the private school, they're going to hold you harmless. I don't know if I believe that or not, because we have a legislative session in 1 year now, and all that could change.
Okay, so you're saying that you are able to keep that. Is that what that means?
So
hold harmless.
Yeah, they're basically giving you an out, saying if you lost 100 kids this next year, Wichita Falls did, to Christ Academy, that we would have a hold harmless for those 100 kids for ADA funding.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We'll see.
All right. We'll see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so sometimes things are written or legislators put things in law, and then rules are made.
Right.
That's right.
And sometimes those rules, and they're not made by the legislatures, they're made by somebody else. So sometimes those rules can go. They're not going to be contradictory to what it says, but it can be where it doesn't follow the same guidelines that Congress has. We see that
all the time.
And it's not just schools. I mean, I've seen it in the motorcycle business.
It could be that also that all the money that was allocated in the bigger picture for this particular program, even though this says 10,474, I'm sure there's a lot more money to administer the program. Yep. And so the people who write the rules, and as they're going through looking at the numbers, when the numbers actually shake out, there may not be enough to do so they just happen to leave that out.
So WFSD only lost 100 students on this deal?
We don't know how many we're going to lose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm just giving you it's an arbitrary number.
Oh, you said if you did. Okay, I see.
Okay. We don't know because the application process is open, as you've seen. Right. And we won't really know the impact on that until school starts.
So how are you guys going to track that? Oh, this kid was here last year and he's not here this year, so we got to figure out where.
How do you find out?
Yeah, TEA has what's called a leaver report. Okay. And so you can track kids that leave, and it tells you exactly what school they go to. Okay. The ones that are harder to track are your homeschool kids. You can still track them, but it's a little harder to do that. And we've done that, and that's where we lost the most. And as you notice, those parents get $2,000 this year, next year for keeping them at home. So we expect that number to increase tremendously.
Goodness. Well,
the problem, let me tell you, there's a problem with homeschooling. I've got a problem with this. There are some really good homeschool programs. There are some people there are some families, some parents that can do a great job homeschooling.
Sure,
there are some really good ones. But let me tell you, homeschooling is also sometimes taken advantage of by parents where little John, I'm tired of the school calling me because little Johnny's a pain in the ass, and I'm tired of him going up there and dealing with it. So I'm just going to homeschool him. Yeah. And little Johnny's running the streets
or working.
That's right.
Child labor there.
Yeah. But so and now I could keep little Johnny home and I get $2,000.
That's right. Yeah. Both. You get that. Well, so we're expecting our numbers to go up tremendously because that's who we lose the most students to every year, almost 200 a year.
Well, okay. So what is WFISD doing to promote the WFISD so that they don't go?
Yeah, we do it through a number of ways. We do that through our facilities, obviously, and the things that we've been doing there. We do it through our academic model, and primarily we gain and attract and keep kids through extracurricular activities. That's what it's about. So last year, the board and the year before, even through heavy political pressure, held their own when it said that kids cannot participate in UIL activities if you're a homeschool kid.
Which I completely agree with. I think if I was on the board and that came up, I'd have been lockstep on that deal. Because it's once again, it's not equitable. Dale Harvey, Dale Harvey had a great. I watched his kind of speech about the inequity of allowing homeschool kids to participate in UIL. Yeah. It's the kid say a kid plays football. When I played football, okay, I would go to school. And I was being there in the morning. I go to school all day long, sit in classes, and then I go to football practice.
Yep.
Okay. But I had a schedule. I couldn't go. I'm gonna go take a nap during English class, Miss McGue's English class, or I'm gonna go hang out at theater class or whatever. Yeah. So I had that schedule. Whereas a homeschool kid, theoretically, get up in the morning at whatever time you start, do your start, go take a nap.
That's right.
Then get up, then do some more work, go to football practice, and then finish up school later if you have to put in a certain amount of time. But so it's not equitable to say these kids have to run this rigid schedule, and these kids can basically pick and choose their schedule.
Yep, that's right. Or a kid that plays basketball on a Tuesday night, drives all the way out to Lubbock, 3 hours, gets back home, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, has a test the next morning. What if they fail it? Yeah. What's no pass, no play? Homeschool don't have those rules and regulations. So it's unequitable.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it is. I hate using the word unfair. Unequitable is better. President Trump likes to use the word unfair, and I like inequitable. All right, so basically, let's talk about your facilities. Facilities are phenomenal in the WFI state.
Yes,
and you've made some more upgrades.
Yep.
Of course, we all know about the CEC Center. No, just kidding. I'm joking. I was a small part of that, but then the 2 high schools.
Yeah.
And I will say that I believe that the CEC was the gateway to getting those 2 high schools built.
Yep.
Because I think when people saw what can be in a facility, they realized it. So we've talked about the 2 high schools. Everybody knows about that. But now we've got some upgrades at our middle school.
Yep. So we've done Hershey Middle School. We've done Ryder Middle School, upgraded both of those. And now we're taking the remaining middle school, McNeil, and we're turning that into an elementary school. And so we've gutted it. And now it's going to turn into the largest elementary school in Wichita Falls. It's going to have a STEAM center in it, 2 playgrounds, and it's going to be a hub concept that encompasses Jefferson, Fowler, and some of West Elementary. And so we're excited about that. And while we're doing that, we're renovating Zundy Elementary. So new paint, new ceiling tiles, new floor, new playground, new foundation, and the all-important new elevator for a 100-year-old building. So they'll open at the same time.
Okay.
Zundy and McNeil.
Okay, and when is that scheduled? When are those scheduled to open?
26-27 school year.
Okay.
Yeah, right in August, right on time. So we'll have both those done, and then I think we can sit back and relax and take a deep breath on all of the facility upgrades we've done.
Yeah, so I was on the board when we turned Zundy into an elementary school.
Okay.
When I first got on the board, when I was growing up, it was Zundy Junior High.
Yes.
Zundelowitz Junior High.
Yeah.
And when I was on the board, kind of towards the end of my board career, is when we moved elementary, changed Zundy, went to 3 junior highs.
Yep. Because Barwise.
Yeah, because at one time we had Zundy, Kirby, Barwise, and McNeil. So we had 4 junior highs.
Yep.
So then what we did was we expanded Barwise.
Yes.
And redistributed it, so we went to 3 junior highs, and then created Zundy as into an elementary school because we closed a couple of old schools, Alamo and
was it Huey?
Houston.
Houston, that's right. Yeah,
Houston and Alamo is what we closed.
Yep.
So my point is, so you guys are still going and blowing and going and trying to upgrade our facilities.
Yes.
McNeil's going to be that is probably going to turn into a really great elementary school.
It is.
Because it was actually the old open pod concept originally, so you can really create those walls in a lot of places for you.
We have. So every single one of those halls has now turned into a pod. So if you're familiar with West Elementary, it's a pod concept. So now we have that same concept at McNeil. So down A wing, that's going to be your kindergarten hub. And so they'll be fixed up with bathrooms inside their classrooms. They'll be separated from the 5th graders. So it's going to be really nice. And once the parents see it, they'll be excited about it.
Absolutely. Okay.
Oh, cool.
And what? Go ahead.
Oh no, I've got some questions when you're ready for just how you are cooperating and working with other organizations, some of the nonprofits that maybe assist in what you got, like Big Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and all that. Because you talk about things that you work programs that y'all have. I wondered a little bit about that. But
there's countless of them. Right. Just for those two, Boys and Girls Club, I sit on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, and we've got clubs in all of the communities around Wichita Falls, as you know. And we just opened up a brand new Boys and Girls Club on the east side, spectacular. And they work with us in a number of ways, feeding kids, after-school programs, tutorials, amazing. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, we work with them. They come inside our schools, tutoring, reading, so on and so forth. Cafe Con Leche, the road to college, they work with them. They come inside most of all of our secondary schools in Zundy, working to get them into Southern Hills, and they do a lot of tutoring and work with our kids on FAFSAs and getting them on career paths to the road to college.
The FAFSA thing is a big deal, and having somebody like Gonzalo in his group.
Yep.
Navigate that, because if you've never done a FAFSA, it was kind of funny because my wife became the FAFSA Nazi of our friend. That's what I called her, of my kids' friends.
Yeah,
and my kids' friends, a lot of them were educated. I mean, all my kids were IB kids. Yeah. So they most of the kids were pretty intelligent, were college bound. Of their friends, but if you've never done the FAFSA process, you don't realize how
it's intimidating, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is you have to fill it out. Even if you're rich, you've got to fill it out to go to college.
Yes.
And yeah.
Okay.
So,
have to.
Yeah, you have to. And so especially because we had two that went at one time. So my wife worked really hard at working on the FAFSA for them. So when our youngest one came up, she was able, and I don't know how many kids that she sat down with that came to our house and sat down with a computer. My wife sat there with them and went over their FAFSA.
That's it. It's very important.
She should have done the consulting job there.
Yeah. Well, and the part of it too is because it would be okay. Do you have? Because it's not just filling the application out. You have your paragraph thing you have to write and all that. And she would kind of keep them on task. It was pretty interesting time.
Yeah. So. But to answer your question, I mean, there's just countless groups. I mean, you think about it. I mean, and then the foundation help that we have. Right. We have a ton of community support, and we're very thankful for that. From Provost to the West Foundation, the West family. I mean, you name it. And we've got so much support in the community to help us be successful. It's awesome.
Right. Well, I'm glad that, because that's, I just met the new CEO / executive director, I guess, at Boys and Girls Club. And remind me your name?
Rachel Wolf.
Rachel, yes. Sorry, Rachel. But anyway, we're...
I've never met her, and I know her name.
Well, as I say, But anyway, no, we had her at our Leads group. It's called, it's a networking group that we met at the chamber the other day and talked to her, and she just gave us a lot of things going on. And she's something else.
Yep, we're excited about the future of the Boys and Girls Club.
And we've got her scheduled on the podcast in about a month or so.
Yep, good one.
So let's, of course, the elephant in the room here. Let's talk about Hershey Middle School.
Yeah.
You guys went with an aftermarket, a third party.
Yep, we did a turnaround partner is what they're officially called.
Okay,
Future
because
schools.
they turn schools around that have failing.
That's exactly right. Yes, and so the origin of that is I went to a school leadership institute, which is really summer leadership institute. You're probably familiar with that with TASB in the summer with the board training, and they were there. And they were in their infancy. Started listening to them, and I was like, this may be the key. So did some research, went to Midland, watched them in action, and the board came with me. They loved it, and so we tried it at Hershey. And so from 5 months in, they're 1.8 years of growth. And what that means in layman's terms is every kid should have 1 year's growth in 1 year's time. So that'd be 1.0, right? And they got 1.8 already, which is almost 2 years of growth in 5 months. But they had large gaps to fill, right? So they've shrunk them tremendously.
And to be fair, that sounds amazing, and it is amazing, but when you start way down here, you got large
You're
gaps.
catching up.
Catching up.
It's like making horsepower.
Yeah.
The first 20 horsepower is easy.
Yeah.
So it's like, or when you get higher and higher.
Year 2, that's when the challenge is going to come.
That's where we're going to see.
How is that measured? How are they doing weekly or monthly, or how are the I guess there's a measurement.
There's a measurement.
Right.
It's called MAP, and you do a beginning of the year, middle of the year, and an end of year assessment. And throughout that time, you're taking unit chapter exams or whatever it may be. And so that's how it's measured.
Okay.
And this is one of those deals. When I saw that, I thought, wow, that's impressive. So I texted Donnie and said, "Are these real numbers?" And he said, "Absolutely are." Yeah. Because look, I mean, you can lie with statistics.
Right.
And when I was in college, I took psychology statistics. And one of our books was called "How to Lie with Statistics."
Yeah,
that's true.
So, but yeah. The nice thing about it is, and I knew that's why I texted Donnie. Donnie's obviously an education professional, been doing this a long time. You would know if somebody was cooking the books.
Yep, we would. That map data wouldn't lie, and we knew that year 1 that we were going to have huge gains. And like I said, year 2 and 3 is where it's going to get challenging, because once you start getting it to where there's not much room for growth anymore because you're so successful. How are they going to look then? But year 1, if you're doing your job and you're doing it well, we expected the campus to go from a D to at least a high C, maybe even a B. And that's what we're seeing.
Okay. Well, now, how's all this playing out? And no decisions yet have been made on the other, what schools? Kirby?
Kirby's the only one, which is now
Hershey.
Okay. It's the only one that's in the middle of this investigation.
So that is going. So basically, then that's still on the table. Wondering what the state's going to do.
In a way, but when you were a kid, did you ever play One Was Not Like the Others?
Right.
Did you ever play that game? Well, there was 5, and one is not like the others. So I'm kind of reading between the lines. I've talked with the commissioner countless times. He's been to Wichita Falls in our district multiple times.
He was here, 2 weeks ago or a week ago or so?
Yeah, a month ago. He was here day before yesterday. He didn't come to WFISD, but he's liked what he's seen. And if he really wanted to take it over, he could have taken just like that, and he hasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of read the tea leaves a little bit as well. I figured that had they wanted to do a takeover, it would have been November.
Yes.
So I think what they're trying to do is avoid it.
Right.
Yep.
I think that's what they're trying to do is avoid it. And as long as the WFISD can show progress.
And that's what we've been. That's what we've done. Every time we come, he goes, "Gosh, I like that." He loved the third future done. I think we got ahead of it. And then we did Southern Hills and Booker T. Washington.
I was going to say, you've added to 2 more schools.
And then he reached out on that because that was great. So I think he keeps seeing great things, and he's like,
so
when do those start? Next year?
Start of the year.
Well, I got the impression now, that there wasn't any choice in the matter. It was just a foregone conclusion is what it seemed like. But then you were saying, well, we don't know. And, and you're doing the things that you need to do.
Yeah.
And I was just curious about that,
Yeah, and we've made arguments that our third future partnership constitutes one of the options that he can make. And so it sounds good so far, but we're supposed to know something, and we've been supposed to know something for a while. But I talked to him last week. He said, you should prepare for a special board meeting in March. So that's the first time he said that. And I said, in order to make an announcement, he said, exactly. So we're prepping for that.
Okay.
The long 3.5-year wait may be over.
Well, what's a little disappointing to me is that it's being strung out, because the fact is it puts everybody on edge.
It does.
Because everybody in the district is affected in some ways.
Big time.
Yeah.
And am I leaving? Am I going? Everybody's thinking that.
Yeah. What happens if they do come over and they put a board of managers in? Who's that going to be? What are they going to look like? What are they going to try to do?
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother can of worms.
And that's disruptive, right? That's a community disruption. It's not positive, really.
No.
Especially in the light of the fact that you've done a ton of all this work, that would absolutely be probably a bit of a tragedy and a travesty.
It would. I can see the state coming in and taking over a board when there's been signs of graft and illegal activity.
You bet. Yeah.
That's a different story.
Totally different.
But when you're talking about a school, and look, you could blame a lot of things.
Yeah.
But in the end, it does start at home. And I've said that. I said it from that dais on the school board. I had people on the school board say, you can't say it. I can say what the hell I want to say. It starts at home. Now, the school can help, but the school cannot raise your child.
No.
It's your responsibility to raise your child. Quite frankly, it's your responsibility to feed your child. that's another thing that I have a burr at my hiney. I did this every year. I voted for free lunch, free breakfast every year through my gritted teeth. And it's not because I'm against feeding children.
Right.
And it's not because of the money. That means nothing to me. What it meant was, why don't you feed your kid at home? That's kind of a basic thing as a parent. Feed your kid at home. The government will give you the money to do it.
Right.
If you say, I can't afford it, sure you can. If you can't afford food, you can get food stamps. You could get government assistance.
Right.
So, but how hard is it to crack an egg or two, or boil an egg, or pop some toast in the toaster and stuff like that? And I think a little bit of it is there was a little girl that lived in our neighborhood. Showed up one time. Real quick, this is a real quick story. She showed up. My daughter was having a sleepover, my youngest daughter. And this little girl shows up. And my daughter, she was limited to 5 kids for her sleepover, for her birthday. Little girl named Hannah shows up. Hannah's playing in the yard. Well, it's time to come in. My daughter comes in. She goes, we just have a new friend named Hannah. What are we supposed to do? And I said, tell her she can stay. I knew there was no way her parents were going to let her stay at my house. They had never seen us or met us or anything like that. Said, tell her she can stay if as long as her parents say it's okay. Okay. 15 minutes later, that little girl shows back up at my house. Not a parent. Nobody came and checked on her. Nobody saw. Nobody came and met us, my wife and I. She went home and said, can I go stay at my new friend Lauren's house? And they said, yeah. She was in 3rd grade.
Wow.
Her stepfather had custody. Her biological mother didn't even have custody. So her stepfather had custody, but his theory was, to her and her brother, you can have whatever you want for dinner because you get fed at breakfast and lunch at school.
Wow.
And unfortunately, parents are using that.
Yeah.
So I know I'm on a soapbox there. I'm not against school breakfast. I don't want to say that I'm against it, but I'm against people not taking the time. It doesn't need to be your routine. It needs to be something that it's there in case you don't have time, you're running late, blah, blah, blah. But it's best for parents to do something for their kids.
Right. Well, on that,
it's your kid.
On that note, though, there is an effort here with the chamber working towards solving some of the little debt that's going on the school lunch program, or the meals at the schools that some of the kids are owe some money. And so during the chamber events, either the Wake Up or the
that's a new initiative.
And so everybody, if you didn't know, you go to the chamber or to this event, whether it be Wake Up Wichita Falls or After Hours, and everybody puts in $1 and a card if you want to.
Or you put in $20 like
or whatever and get 20. Yeah. So, but it's a drawing, and theoretically half the money is to be given to the person, and the other half is to go to a school of choice at that particular meeting or whatever. And then, but most people, of course, are going to donate the whole thing. And but anyway, it's a kind of a neat thing. I just think that's it. But isn't that kind of that's that dichotomy here? Is you're going to take care of the kid, right? Yep. You're not going to let a kid.
You got to.
Right, you have to. But yet, then that just relieves the parent of any responsibility to do anything.
That's right.
And then, of course, we know that we got to step in, or somebody's going to step in like this and help out. And it's just this, kind of crazy. So, but. Got to take care of the kids.
Yep, that's right.
One of the new challenges y'all face this year, handed down from the legislature, was cell phones.
Yeah, how about that?
How is that going? I mean, you're over a half a year into it. Mm-hmm. How has that gone in the district?
We think it's gone well. What really it's done is it's just relieved the burden from the teacher to say, give me your phone because I said so. Now it's put your phones up because it's against the law.
Because the law says so.
Yeah, and so that's been big. And so are the kids still finding a way around it? You bet they are. And,
no,
can you believe that?
Kids doing something that's not on the
So they have the extra phone that's really not connected, and they slip that in the sleeve. Yeah.
But overall, they can't have them out during the day in passing periods, and it's really cool to see at lunch, honestly. Kids are talking, they're playing games, they're actually socializing with each other.
Kind of like we all did.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody here, we didn't play with our cell phones in schools because you had the phone in the office. You didn't have a phone in the teacher's room.
No, there wasn't. There was. Oh, you had to go to the office. Yes, and you got a message through the office, and then they ran it to you, and if it was important, So
that part's been really good, and it's been awesome to see that at the middle schools and at the high schools.
So I actually contacted the representative because, once again, when I was on the school board, that was a long time ago, I said we ought to get the cell phones out of the schools. I pushed for it then. Of course, it's hard to do as a locally do it.
It is.
You really need the legislature to do something.
Absolutely.
And when the lady from West Texas was one who sponsored the bill originally, I called her and I said, I completely support your bill. I understand it's going to be a change and a challenge for schools, but it won't be a challenge forever.
No.
It's kind of like anything else. When you make a big change, it's a pain in the ass for a little while, but then it becomes company policy.
That's what it is.
What I call it, company policy.
Yep.
And so next year, it's going to be less of a pain in the butt.
Yep.
And the following year, it's going to be less of a pain in the butt.
Just what we do around here, right?
That's
and so
it's the norm.
More focus on academic instruction and less on getting beeps from your 6 social media platforms.
So let me ask you, and I know that there's no data to back this up, but do you think overall your sense that this has been a net positive for the school system?
I really do. Absolutely. Because when the kids could have their phones, every time the thing would beep, they look at their phones, and now they're not focused on their academic instruction. We do a lot of walkthroughs throughout the year. I go into classrooms, and there's no phones out. It's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah. That's something, by the way, if you're an adult, you need to get used to not every time your phone rings. Don't almost like people like Pavlov.
Yeah, I know it.
You see people all the time. They'll be in the middle of a conversation. The phone beeps.
Yep.
Like, unless you're a doctor, and the emergency room's calling you to come save somebody's life, it can wait.
It can wait.
It can wait 30 seconds. It can wait a minute. And sometimes it's good. In fact, I intentionally may not be doing anything. My phone beeps, and I go, I'm going to self-discipline. I'm going to discipline myself, and I'm not going to pay attention to that till the next time I reach and get my phone. Then I'll pay attention to what's going on, unless I'm waiting for an important call or something.
Sure.
Right.
But even in I know you're an important guy, but the fact of the matter is, unless the place is on fire, somebody can handle it for.
They can handle it
a minute or two before you get involved.
That's why you got a team.
Well,
Exactly.
Well, if they can't handle it, you've got some training to do, or new personnel. So,
Exactly right.
We have a new athletic director.
Devin Doris. He's from Azle, and that took us a long time. We opened up that position, the athletic director, 3 times. And so it wasn't about finding a person. It was finding the right person. And on that 3rd go-around, we found Devin Doris, and he's a good one.
Azle had the worst football field I've ever played on in my life was in Azle, Texas. Now, I'm sure it was before his time, because this was in 1989.
Yeah.
Their sprinklers literally were still up in the hash marks.
Okay.
They were sitting up.
That's bad.
And hell yeah, it was bad. And they knew, those kids knew where it was. And they were used to practicing on that field. We didn't know where they were. And you run out and boom, you go down. That's rough. Well, that's great. So I knew it took a long time.
It did.
And so Scott Hafley had kind of double duty for a while.
He was in that. He was double, tripling, and so he was excited to finally take that off his plate in December, and Devin took over officially in January. And he's done a good job. And then we got Legacy high school girls basketball beat Amarillo the other night. That was a big win in the playoffs, 9th seed, so got to give a gold ball up. So exciting times for him.
That's awesome. Now, by the way, since you mentioned Legacy, it looked like they were going to move up or down in divisions.
It looked like they were going to move up,
but then they didn't.
They didn't. UIL had told us that they were going to move up, and so some things happened where some different teams moved around, and UIL called us and said they're going to stay in 5A Division II. So Memorial and Legacy are in the same division again this year and play each other Week 10.
And it's basically the same district
same
as
exact
they had last.
Yeah, uneventful, which is what we wanted. We thought Legacy was going to go up and then move out to Dallas. That would have been a problem.
Well, it might have been a problem, but it would have been a lot shorter commutes.
Shorter commutes, but it would have been a way stiffer competition.
Oh, yeah, when you get down there and you kind of get in the mix of those suburbs down there.
A lot of speed.
Yeah, it gets tough. It gets tough. So, well, as we're kind of wrapping up here, tell us what all's going on. What should we look forward to with the WFISD?
Well, right now it's kind of you look at schools that are in different seasons. And if you're a school person, you know that towards the end of February, early March, that's Super Bowl season. That's time for STAR. So you've been preparing all this time for 3rd grade through 10th grade for one test on one day for what you're judged and accountability raises on is just this. And you were mentioned in private schools earlier, they don't have to do this.
That's my biggest bugaboo.
Yeah.
They don't have the high stakes testing that's required, and they can they could not accept students.
Well, where was there not an effort to get rid of that?
There was an effort to modify it, but that's going to take place a little bit next year, where you have a BOI, MOI, EOI, so it's not one test on one day. It's 3 tests throughout the year. And it's based on growth measures that it would take me 30 minutes to explain. But basically, how did you perform on your MOI as compared to your BOI, and then your EOI compared to the other 2. So for this year, 1 test, 1 day, high stakes.
So if you're sick, what happens?
You retest.
Okay, you do get an opportunity.
Yes.
So,
You get an opportunity, but it turns the whole place upside down.
It sure does.
Everybody's on edge.
Right. No,
the whole school basically is on lockdown. It's almost like there's an active shooter. You'd think if you walked into one of the schools during Story, you'd think that somebody has a gun running around the school. Because it's
high
quiet
stakes.
time. And you understand why, but it's quite frankly, it's bullshit. I'm sorry, that is imposed on the schools. I'm for some sort of testing and measuring.
Yes, we are too.
But this one day,
this
one test is crazy. I think it's a moneymaker then.
So what has happened to the ITSB? That's what I took when I was a kid.
But 18 what?
Well, no, I know, but it was
tossed and taxed.
Right, but I can't remember what that stands for, but it was Iowa Test of Basic Skills. That's what it was, and that had certain things. And the Texas did that. I grew up in Fort Worth.
I think it's a Fort Worth thing.
It must have been. It
was here. I graduated in high school in '83, so this was prior to that. So it's all up to that point. They were doing that, and it was. But anyway, my question, what I remember it is like what you're talking about. It is a measurement, but it wasn't a pass or fail or move forward or not or whatever. It was just a measurement that it measured the district, it measured everybody, and it gave the kids an opportunity to get some feedback on where they're at. And when your parents cared, and. Of course, we have some parents that do care a lot.
Sure, there's a lot of great parents, but there's plenty of crappy ones.
But anyway, I just remember that. And is there an effort to actually get rid of it or just change it with other?
Change it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the effort in the legislature is just to change it to where it's not one test on one day.
Okay, that's a big part of it. Okay, yes. Gotcha.
Yeah. Which I think that's a positive.
I'm assuming
you're seeing that as a positive.
Absolutely, we were pushing hard for the BOI, MOI, EOI concept, and I think we've got it. Not next year, but the year after that. It's phasing in. And I think that's going to be a step in the direction to not have this high stakes, everything riding on just 1 or 2 tests that we're measured on. Are the students growing throughout the year?
Right.
That's what we want to see.
Well, kind of like what the turnaround school's doing.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And so that's the concept, the MAP concept. And so we're working towards that, and that's going to be great. So you can mess up at the BOI. And you can even not have such a great day. You didn't eat. You may have had an argument with your parents. So many different things could happen with our kids. And they come to school on that 1 test 1 day. They're not in the mood. They bomb it. A lot of them don't even do the test. They literally get zeros. And now you're in big trouble. And because on a campus like Burgess that has 250 kids, every single kid counts tremendously. Whereas if you have a campus with 9, 10, 1,200 students, doesn't count as much. So
it's
one
per
kid
school,
can really
right?
cost you.
Yeah.
Oh my.
So
it makes a big difference.
Makes a huge difference. That's
it's
right.
Just math.
That's all it is. And so we've got to get away from that and move towards a more, universal collaborative system where you're not judged on the beginning, but you're judged on the end on how the kid did.
All right.
So just to wrap it up here, first third schools, is that what it's called?
Third future.
Third future schools. I don't know why first third. So anyhow, third future school. And how long is their contract at Hershey?
3 years.
So it's a 3-year.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
So
and
3
then
years.
After that, we can decide to extend that.
And then starting next year, it's Booker T.
and Southern Hills.
Yes. And that'll be a 3-year contract.
That'll be a 3 years as well.
That makes sense. It's hard to say we're going to bring you in for a year and then we're going to see what's going to happen. You don't give them time to establish themselves and things like that.
Yep.
But now these schools, explain real quickly. It's a WFISD school.
Yes.
But it is not run by WFISD.
So it's like contracted the staff.
That's what it is. So it's a WFISD school. It's our building. It's our kids. Like we could get their ADA, their grades, their rating, all of that. But it's their staff. So we have no say on staff. We have a lot of say on the students in our building and stuff like that. And it's our security. It's our cafeteria workers, bus drivers, all of that. But you have no say, when I say you, the WFISD and our board, on their staffing. So it's the third future staff. They pay them a lot more money than we pay them, almost $100,000 a teacher. There's no contracts. It's a day-to-day at-will employee, and there's a bunch of other things. So that's kind of the dynamic in the partnership.
Right. Now, and I think I asked you this last time you were on, but what do they get the entire state funding allocation?
Yes. So how schools are funded is by ADA. It's like when you come to school, you get that's called your membership. Right. And then how often do you come to school? 93% is kind of our average. So they get 93% of every student. It's called WADA, Weighted Average Daily Attendance. It comes to us, and then we funnel it to them. They also get what's called an 1882 grant, because this is an 1882 partnership is what it is. And you can look that up. So it basically is an outside contractor that provides services, educational services. They get that grant. So we end up paying Third Future through that WADA about $375,000 a month. And then the 1882 partnership kicks in more on the back end, and so they're getting all that as well.
But what covers the building maintenance and all of that? I mean, is that, or is it a little peeled off to pay for that?
Yes. So we get 6% that we hold back for all of the services that they use from us. Right. So 6% every month, we take that, give them the rest.
So what happened at the beginning of that contract then? What happened to the other teachers and staff?
They remove everybody, start at ground zero, and then they build up from there. All of those teachers have to apply for a job.
Okay,
so what we did just initially in July, since it happened so quick, is we found all the teachers that they didn't take a job within the district.
Okay.
The Southern Hills Booker T, it won't work that way.
Okay.
So that next time, if they're a probationary or a LORA, they're going to be looking for employment. If you're a term contract, we'll find you a job within the district. So that's how it's going to look.
Okay. Kind of have to.
You have to. Yep.
Yeah. Term contracts. It's a property right.
Yep. That's it. Yeah. That's
that
right.
Contract is that's the one thing I do remember is and I think it was Dr. Orr, the first superintendent I worked with here, explained that to me. He said you have to understand that contract is a property right.
It is. Yep.
All right. And then at the end of this 3-year on each of the schools, then is there an option to continue?
Yes.
And then
there is.
In theory, if they're doing well, is there a benchmark that you guys are going to use to decide whether to stay? They stay, and then you guys take back over.
Yeah.
And how do you train the staff to maybe so that it's not just this abrupt.
Yep.
Change.
Very good question. That we've been talking about that a lot. There's going to need to be a transition period. And so those measures haven't been set yet by the Board of Trustees, but it wouldn't be 3 years and then, you got it from here. It would look like year 4, it would be 75% Third Future, 25% WFISD, then a 50-50, and so on and so forth. Okay. But if it's working great, it may just continue for another 3 years. But at some point, the board's going to have to decide we want it back. Right. It's going to have to be a big transition because the salaries of the teachers would change tremendously as well.
Well, and is there an idea that maybe you can, and do they offer a way to transition your staff so that they continue that particular method of teaching and all of that?
There is, and that's part of the 25-50.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so you're phasing it in and training staff to keep that same thing. Okay, cool.
And we're going to use a lot of the Third Future models, and we've been doing that a little bit, but just the full model transformation we haven't done yet.
So in the end, what's the economic impact on the negative side to the WFISD? How much does this cost us? Because they're relieving us all the burden of all of our staff and that sort of stuff.
That's right.
But they're getting all the WADA, but we're taking 6% back. Yep. So what is the net cost?
We will find out after this year because we haven't completed 1 year. So what we've done is we've got a spreadsheet that has all of our expenses. We haven't gotten all of our revenues in yet. And so once we know expenses over revenues, we'll know that July 1, as you're well aware, that's when our fiscal budget starts. We'll know what is the net positive or gain. We're thinking it's going to be about even. It should be. And if anything, we had 50,000, 100,000, something like that. But right now it's a net positive if we can get the kids to a B. Because the academic outcomes of the students are the most important thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was just wondering if it's going to cost the WSISD, if it's going to break even, if it's going to cost you $8 million, if it's going to cost you
nothing like that.
Yeah, $100,000 or whatever. And $100,000 is a lot of money, folks. But when you're talking about 120, used to be 129, 126.
Yeah, it's a $160 million budget now.
Okay, well, that's more. $160 million budget, $100,000 is.
We would love that. That's right. And so we're tracking that. We haven't have all of our revenues in yet. Once we get that, we'll present that to be transparent at a board meeting. But we're thinking it's going to be about a wash.
Yeah, if the WFISD could go to every school and pay $100,000 more and get all the student outcomes up,
gosh,
you'd do it in about 2 seconds.
In a heartbeat, yeah. So we hope that that's the case.
Absolutely. Right. Well, Donnie, thank you so much for coming in. We really
pleasure,
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for the news and the updates and letting us know what's going on with the WFISD.
All right, thanks, guys.
So, we'll let you hang.
Okay. Hang on.
Right. So, anyway, please join us for next Friday. We've got Josiah Botts.
Josiah Botts from Downtown Royalty. Downtown Royalty is a local band. They've been around for quite some time, but they actually have gotten a national record contract and some national write-up.
Okay.
So some local band members. So yeah, we had Ronny Jackson on yesterday. We have Donnie Lee on today. So we went politics, we went school district. Now we're going to go arts.
All right.
And we're diversified around here, baby.
That's it. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, join us next week, 7:30, same place, same time, all that good stuff. And then, as Mike always said, we'll see you down the road.